We screaming justice for Kenneka. We forever J for K. What's going on, my good people? We back, y'all. 5-0. We back. And I know y'all been looking for me. Y'all been looking for me. That's cool. I'm back. And I had a lot of people asking me like, why you don't cover Kenneka anymore? And honestly, y'all, I'm just waiting on some arrest. I'm waiting on some movement in the case. Okay? And I've yet to see it. But there was some things that I did want to address. I'm gonna go a different direction with my platform. But before I do that, I want to make sure I put up some updates on the cases that we've covered over here. So I definitely wanted to start with Kenneka. And I had a conversation with several YouTubers in the background, and we were discussing the key log. Now, I've seen the key log, but I never dug into it. You know what I mean? And I think it's important that I do that so we can put that in our Kenneka archive over here on this channel. Because I got some things to show y'all. So, y'all know how we do. Come on, ride with me. Now, this is the interrogation report for lock number 926. And this was put into Kenneka's case file on Rosemount's site. I'm familiar with this report. For those of you that has been following me for a while, y'all know I have hospitality in my background. So I was familiar with this type of report. And you have to understand that this is something that, this is not the norm. You don't always just randomly read the locks. There's usually a reason for it. And in this case, they read the locks for Kenneka, in Kenneka's case, because they felt Kenneka was connected to room 926. Okay? Now, one of the questions that was asked of me was why there was 2 different times on this report. For each key entry, there was 2 different times. And looking over this report, let me tell y'all what I found. Now, just so y'all know, when we read these locks, we didn't use nothing spectacular. It was a handheld device, a small handheld device. They called it a terminal, okay? And you would put this almost like a chip reader. You would put this little card into the door, and it would feed data into what they call the terminal, and then it would generate a report that looks similar to this. Now, in Kenneka's case, what they found was that the terminal read September the 12th at 4:34 p.m. So that's the time that they're actually trying to read the locks. They're up there trying to read the locks. What they figured out was that instead of the date and time matching, they realized that the lock to room 926 was reading 9/11 at 6:08 p.m., which told them that the date and time on 926 lock was almost a day behind. Okay? The lock's date and time is off. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, the footage off, the lives are off, like all the time is off. And we've been saying this from the beginning. And this key log was no different. Okay? In my opinion, that's why you see 2 different timestamps for every key entry. It was the actual time versus the adjusted time. Because again, Rosemont found out that the key lock date and time was off about 22 hours. Damn near a whole day. Okay? And y'all know I'm a visual person. And so what I did was I created my own report. Just so I can show y'all the actual times and try to make sense of what's going on. So I broke these reports down by the date. Okay? So now let's get into this key log report. Rosemont read the key locks for September the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. Okay? And that's how I did my own report, based off of the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. This report right here starts on September the 7th. And you see housekeeping was all up through that room. Okay? I didn't see this as strange, We got the first entry at 8:36 a.m. and the last one being at 1:36 p.m. This didn't look strange to me. What that told me was somebody checked out of that room, and that room needed to be cleaned, which is why you see housekeeping all up through here. Okay? The last entry being at 1:36, and that was probably the supervisor going in to check to make sure the rooms was actually clean. That's what they do. Okay? Kenneka Watkins checked into this room 9:26 between 6 and 7 p.m. And I'm saying between 6 and 7 because on the left-hand side, the timestamp was 6 o'clock. On the right-hand side, the timestamp was 7. So I'm going to say between 6 and 7 because we all know the times is messed up. So between 6 and 7, she checks into this room. There she go. But then let's look at the key report for September the 8th. Because again, there was no more entries into this room on September the 7th after 1:36 p.m. So look at what was going on the 8th in room 926. On September the 8th, housekeeping went into room 926 at 9:03 a.m. And see, what this key log is showing us is that although Shaniqua may have rented that room on the 7th, no one stayed there the night of the 7th. So when housekeeping went in at 9:03 a.m., they realized the room is still clean from the day before. So there was no need for them to go back into their room. But then this is where it gets interesting. The first guest key was not used until 10:44 p.m. Okay? And don't forget, Lil Ty's statement, he told us he got there at 9 o'clock. Remember? Rest in peace to him, because he's no longer with us. But Lil Ty told us he got there at 9. That confused me. And I'm still confused about that. But then, based off of surveillance footage, Irene was the first one to show up. And looking at this video in the top right hand corner, it say 11:46. I mean, so should that be 10:46? And even still, why would the key lock read 10:44? Clearly, she's just now coming in the building. Like I told y'all, they messed us up with the time. And not only that, when we seen Irene coming in, and I'm going to say 10:46, okay? When I see her coming in, she didn't stop at the front desk to get no key. So, I mean, is it safe to assume she already had a key? I mean, I'm just asking. So on this report, the next guest key was not used until 11:31 and 11:49. Now, remember in Irene's statement, she said that after being there for about 30 minutes, they left to go get Swishers. Here she go. And if we go by the time on the right, it's 12:23. But I'm going with the time on the left, an hour behind, which is 11:23. So we had 4 come in, we had 2 leave. So, I mean, shit, it should be 2 people still in the room, right? Now, we've seen Killer and Mike come in at 11:32. And I'm using 11:32 because Irene said when she got back, there she go, at 11:51, she said Mike and Killer was already there. So again, I would go with the time on the left. So did Killer and them have a key? So after midnight, which would have been September the 9th, there was only one guest key entry at 12:17 a.m. Okay? And if we push back an hour, like we have been, that would mean that Kenneka and them got there at 12:13. And remember, Irene met them down in the lobby. Remember this? So that means they would have been down there at this lobby at about 12:18. And again, somebody's using the key to get in that room. Now these kids been partying, drinking, smoking. Kenneka then came up missing. And up until the point where we see all these kids leaving, there are no other guest key entries to room 926. But here's another problem that I have with that. Listen to what Pease told us in the Zach TV interview. Listen to this.
But the party was going on when it was jumping, it was buzzing. It was 2 main security guards that was coming in there. And after we started looking for her, we looking for hotel security, like, man, somebody to help, somebody that can go in the back, somebody that can go not get access to open door. None of it. We didn't see nobody. Man, what was so crazy, and what was another thing that was so crazy is that when we was all leaving, like when everybody was leaving, like 5, it was like, okay, we can't find it, and everybody was going back to their car. We left something in the room. We was all from getting caught, like, oh, I left something in the room. Right. Ran back upstairs to go get something. Got back on the elevator, went in the room, grabbed it, came back out the room. As I'm walking out, I hear something, I turn around. That's what I see. Please don't say it. I see the security guard walking. He turns around, look back, walk off. So it's like, where was you at all this time? We was just looking for you. Now all of a sudden you pop up. It pop out of nowhere, now we see you again. It's like, once we left, now you pop back up and pop out of nowhere, and now you walking through the hotel again. But all this time we was trying to look for our friend, looking for help. We never seen you, but now, just so coincidence that, I left something, went back up to the room, same, grabbed it, came back out the room, looks up, now I see you. Bro, where you been at all? Man, what's your take, man? What you would think, man?
Well, let me tell you what I think. Now, I put these 2 clips from the interview in this video because there was 2 things that stood out to me that I had not caught before, okay? And one of them things being that he said when the party started jumping, there was 2 main security guards that kept coming up there to the room. 2. Now, we know about him, but if we listen to Pease, there's somebody else up there identifying themselves as security. Who was that? Okay? And then, not only that, Pease said after all of them left, he ran back up to the room. Now, we seen Pease and them on footage. Pease and them was like, what I thought was the last people to leave. And he said that they got outside, realized they forgot something, run back up to the room, get whatever it is they forgot, and leave back out. And I thought to myself, because if we're looking at this key report, again, there was no key entries after 12/17. So, who let them in? How did they get in there? You understand what I'm saying? And not only that, P said when he left back out, now all of a sudden there's a security guard on the floor near the room. And I wanted to know which one. You just told us there was 2. Which one? I think that's important. Because it sounds like whoever this security guard is popped back up there on that 9th floor when they thought all those kids was gone. You understand what I'm saying? Now, based off of this key report, after all those kids left that hotel, the next entry into room 926 was by housekeeping at 11:03 a.m. They actually went in there 3 times, 11:03, 1:44, and 2:32. Okay? And I was questioning, like, were they investigating, or were they cleaning the room? Because what I do know is that at about 7 o'clock in the morning, Miss Teresa showed up there. Remember? And she made her first 911 call at 7:14 a.m., telling them her daughter was missing from up there. And she told them she was sitting outside the hotel at that very moment. And then based off of the information released by Rosemont at 12:46, they went up there to Rosemont Police Station and filed a missing person report. And then it says at this time, the officers responded to Crown Plaza. And that's at 12:46. So at any point, did they go up to the room? To look for clues, maybe she found her way back to the room. I think that would have been my thought process. Let's check the room. And they may have, because like I said, they was in there 3 times. But were they cleaning it or were they actually investigating? That's the question. There was guest keys used on room 926 at 322, 912, and 918. And what they told me was they checked somebody else into this room. And now I spoke to somebody who thought their checkout was for September the 10th. And I'm like, no, if you look at this folio right here, The check-in was September the 7th, check-out September the 9th. Okay? So, I mean, it makes sense. They checked somebody else into this room. But the question is, I mean, why did they check somebody in so fast? Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. And I'll be back.